channel. But if you do not know me, my name is Cashelle. I am the owner of Dynamic Image Publications, and we are doing a wind down tonight. So it's real cool, real laid back. I even got my wine. I'm going to talk to a couple of the authors, the co-authors of Stop Walking with Your Head Down, A Woman's Guide to Confidence. So while I get them in here, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the book that we created. So Stop Walking with Your Head Down came out last month in August, and it's basically an anthology of women in different industries, different backgrounds, different circumstances, situations, talking about how they get through work past their insecurities. So we have 7 different authors, and we really kind of just went deep into our own testimonies about how we feel about being able to walk with confidence even as we're experiencing certain insecurities, certain circumstances that kind of hold us back. And it was really very emotional to write. If you know me, you know I have a child who does not like me most of the time. So excuse him if you hear him barking. I apologize. However, I'm really excited to ask the ladies a couple of questions about their writing process, how they felt about writing the book. Some of them are first-time authors and some of them are experienced. And just give a couple of insights on what we actually touched on in the book and things like that. So, hey honey, let me see how I can get you in here. Okay. Add. Approve. I wonder if I have to do one at a time. I hope not. Let's see. There we go. Hi, love.
Hey,
Okay.
we made it.
I'm trying to see if I can actually do more than one person. I don't think so. I don't know. How did you request it?
They had a multiple face on there, and it said request to join.
Hi, where you been?
Oh, girl, working.
We gonna talk because I got a bone to pick with you.
I'm in trouble.
Yep.
What I do?
Personally, you in trouble.
Oh, oops. Okay. I done something.
Okay, I don't know if I can add y'all at the same time, so I'm gonna just have to do y'all one by one, I guess. Oh, that sucks.
I take my slot.
Right. Oh,
don't be.
I can add.
Don't be leaving me hanging on that bone. You know I'm a recovering anxiety-ridden.
It's not that serious, I promise.
Okay, it's probably about a boy.
Absolutely not.
Oh.
We don't worry about them type of people.
We get more.
I didn't request to join.
Why did you request to join?
No, ma'am. You was trying to get me on here. I did not request to talk to y'all. I was just trying to listen and be a part of the audience. Bye. Hey, girl.
Hi, Jasmine. You are.
I didn't. I was just in here saying, hey, that was it.
Okay, well, I'm going to cut you out so I know I can add another person.
Okay, bye.
Get somebody else in here.
Bye, Jasmine. You said she was a placeholder, huh?
Well, it said, so I clicked it and it said your viewers, but she in here, so I don't know why it won't let me add you. Then can you come out and come back in and see if it'll pop up and let me show you again? Let's try it that way.
Who else is it?
Zan Tucker, my favorite romance writer. Do you have your book? You got a copy, didn't you?
Yes, okay. Thank you so much. I was calling you when you was on Do Not Disturb, but that's why.
I was on Do Not Disturb?
Mm-hmm. Or your phone was dead, but
It was probably dead because I really gonna do not.
yeah, when it came in the mail, it was so special. I wasn't expecting it. And I was like, oh, I got my copy.
Yeah, I didn't get it. What was your chapter? Rainbow, Skittles, and Gumdrops.
Yep.
So, for y'all who introduce yourself, because we just hopped on.
Okay, so I am Mahogany Rain. That is my pen name that I write under for those of you that know me by another name. But yes, I write inspirational fiction. I write I recently wrote my first devotional and I just added value to this beautiful body of work. Stop walking with your head down. Writing is something very special to me because I feel like I get to use the other side of my brain by day. Excuse me, I'm a makeup artist and a beauty professional. And I feel like that I get to use a lot of creativity with that, but I love to write and I love to express myself through literacy. I love to story tell, and looking forward to writing some sci-fi when I complete part 2 of my first book, Puncturing the Deepest Curse. I am working really hard to write through that because like that was inspirational fiction. So I'm having to pull from my own life and experiences. And let's say that my therapist has her work cut out for her. Hi, Pepsi.
Don't talk to him.
With
Being spoiled.
in regards to stop walking with my head down, the charge was what Christian told us to do was write about something that may have caused you to have your head down. Expound on what that is and what pulled you out of it. And I'm definitely a testimony queen in a lot of different areas, but something that I really thought was deep in my heart was the fact that I've struggled with perfection issues for so long. I named the chapter Rainbow, Skittles, and Gumdrops because one of my favorite people in the world, my cousin Millie, my best friend, she said, Khadijah, that's how you see the world. Everything you see it in rainbows and Skittles and gumdrops. Because I'm so happy. And sometimes being bubbly and being a Black girl feels like quite the anomaly. And I don't feel like I fit in. And I don't feel like I'm ever good enough.
Right.
Or bad enough. And I just wrote about what that's like and how navigating that has been a bummer. However, I did find some tools and things to help me through it. And so I got deep down. I know, nephew, I got deep down and dirty and honest and talked about it in that chapter and gave some tools and encouragement to help people that are trying to find a way out of it. And profess my love to everyone because believe it or not, I love you, even if I've never met you. And my rainbows and Skittles and gumdrops are still there. They're just more refined.
So what was different for you? What do you feel was different from writing your first 2 books and then being a co-author? Like, did that process look different or how did it feel?
Better. I'm not the type of person that's like gung-ho on something being just mine. Respectfully, I get enough attention. And so I didn't need to just have attention on myself. I like the fact that it's a shared responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I also felt the strength from the other chapters. I learned some things about people you included. And I just feel like it felt more lighthearted. It felt like I could be even a little bit more open.
Okay.
Because other people were giving their insight as well.
So I picked a quote from each of your chapters to highlight. Did you see what I highlighted of yours? Prioritizing self-care felt like a direct betrayal to my children.
Hold on.
The reason I felt like that was a highlight was because I'm not a mom, but I hear that from a lot of moms. So why do you feel like it was important for you to push past that, and how that helped you?
To push past feeling like it was betrayal.
Right. Or are you still?
That's what I was gonna say. I struggle with that still.
Okay.
It's not as bad as it was. So I guess I could talk about that, the progression.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a society right now where a lot of us working as hard as we work will still be in lack. And don't get me wrong, spiritually we have no lack.
Right.
But I can't pay Amber in the spirit.
They not taking prayers.
And I can't purchase equipment and inventory by the blood. I can't do it. It just don't work. And so I feel like you work just to get yourself at a level that you're feeling like I'm taking care of my kids based on the standards of what people think is the best way to take care of your kids. And when you work that hard and you do it that much and you still don't feel like you have it to give, and this is me as a single mother, this is my situation, you still feel like there's a deficit. It's like, okay, if I do something for myself that just brings me joy and happiness, something as simple as sleeping an extra 20 minutes, I'm going against my kids. Because if I'm not making sure they're straight and they're good, then I'm going against them. And so like I said, I struggled and I still struggle with that. But I had to come to the realization that if I'm nothing to myself, then I'm nothing to my children. Like they only can get a pour from a healed mother and from a complete mother and for a cared for mother. Me having joy and me bringing effort into the household and love and, you know, me being able to have the capacity to be consistent, I can't do that unless I'm at least on 3/4 full.
Right.
You know, so I can give them something. And so I think me realizing like, okay, I might have just drained myself completely, but now I'm sitting up here in the bed and I don't want to get out of it because I'm so tired. Or my baby will bring me a picture she draw. I can't do it right now, baby, because I'm trying to work and I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that.
Right.
When really she could go without the thing, or I can go out the thing that I'm working so hard for if they have a healed and present mother. So yeah.
I think I had one more question for you, but I can't remember what it was about. I might have to come back to you. Don't leave.
You say don't leave.
Yeah, don't leave. I do want, so for anybody who didn't get on when I first started, the whole compilation is Stop Walking with Your Head Down, A Woman's Guide to Confidence. So basically what I wanted to do, this was something that was actually birthed from a blog post I wrote like 3 or 4 years ago. I noticed, me personally, when I'm outside in the world, I'm looking down. And it could be for so many different reasons, right? It could be for I'm trying to make sure I don't fall. It could be I'm trying to avoid looking at somebody, or I'm avoiding someone looking at me. There's so many different reasons why we internalize that and look down. And I have caught myself saying, what you looking down for? Like, look up. Like, it's not arrogant to look up. It's not look up. It's not all of these things that keep me, that kept me from doing it were very trivial. They were very in my head. They were very much things that I put on myself that other people didn't put on me. And so even to this day, I still have to be, when I'm outside, say, okay, look up, like stop walking with your head down. Can't be that way is what I say. And that's just, you know, spiritually and figuratively. You can't see when you're walking, when you're looking down. So that was kind of how this was birthed. And then I reached out to some people that I knew had really, really powerful testimonies to me personally. And I just knew that other people would be touched by this book. So it is available on Amazon and our website. And a percentage of the proceeds actually go to Be a Bridge, which is a nonprofit in Alton, Illinois, that actually helps younger girls develop spiritual relationships with God, not religious relationships. That's the key. Spiritual relationships with God. So I'm really
Your formatting is
excited.
beautiful in this book, by the way.
Thank you, child.
I must say, I promise I'm not paid to say this, you guys. Having one place and, you know, one entity when it comes to this walk as a published author is such a blessing. Like, it's just, I know it's probably hectic on her, but it's such a blessing, because when you have questions, you're trying to understand what it is that you signed up for and what you're doing, there is an answer,
Right.
you know, versus just dealing with some big entity that just don't care.
Yeah.
There is love shown. Like, when my clients come, I have my books set out in the open so that they can pick them up and check them out, and they're like, wow, like they're impressed, because we've all seen them throwing together pamphlets that people be saying is books. Yeah, I've seen them.
I'm not gonna say nothing about it, but we have, yes, ma'am.
And the thing is, these people have more accolades than me. Like, they really,
Right.
they should come harder.
For sure.
Don't do yourself like that. Got that Halloween pamphlet.
I'm not finna do this with you. We're not doing this tonight.
The one that say don't go trick or treat. Don't go trick or treating, it's of the devil.
I cannot get anybody else in here. We have 2 other authors, and I don't see y'all listed. So, I mean, I tried to get Kristen in here. It says you can't join at this time.
Should I go?
No, because I was able to bring Jazz in.
Ask them to request like I did.
How did you do it?
I pressed request. I went to the live. I pressed request.
Yeah, it says allow viewers to request to join. So that's on. Let me turn it off and then turn it back on. We definitely I should have practiced this beforehand. That was my fault, y'all.
It's okay. That's why I asked all of those questions.
You really did. And I was like, I don't know. Yeah, I see both of them in here. Like,
meanwhile, I'm looking out for the click.
Right. So, well, until we can get them in here, I will go ahead and tell you a little bit about their, well, I guess I could talk about mine, huh?
You can talk about yours.
My chapter is called Good Girl Gone Sad, and it is literally the story of my life. And I talked a little bit about this in another devotional that I was a part of. Well, a devotional, because this isn't a devotional. But I have an overachiever syndrome, and I didn't have it for the right reason, right? I had it to make myself feel better about me and to attract me. It wasn't, oh, they liked me because I was me. It was they liked me because I got grades, or they liked me because I published all these books, or I have all these degrees, or you know what I'm saying? It was more so like just trying to gain accolades.
But she got them lips.
Don't start.
What they used to call them? Is
the PG version or the other version?
Is it safe? People on here, I can't say it.
Anyway, but I did all these things, and you know, especially growing up in church, they tell you, you know, be a good girl, be do what you're supposed to do. Don't be outside with a whole bunch of men. Don't do this, don't do that. And then you'll get what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here I am, 35, single, no children, and nothing's wrong with it, right? Unless this is not what I want. I don't want to be single. I don't want to not be a mother. So all of these things that I figured that I would have by now because of all of my good girl tendencies, I don't have. And so that makes you depressed. Like, I did all that for what? And I had to come to the realization that I always had the wrong motive behind what I was doing. It wasn't that I was doing it because I wanted to. Some things were, of course. Like, I'm not just saying my whole life was planned out for me, but I wasn't truly enjoying it. I was trying to accomplish something to say I accomplished it, and nobody should do that. So my chapter was basically just about how my overachiever syndrome backfired. I did all these things, and then it was like, oh, well, nobody likes me for me. They only like me because I did all of these things, which I was doing all of those things to get people to like me. So it's like, why do I not feel okay with that?
I've done that as well. You're not alone.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people kind of, don't really think about it. But I know a lot of people who kind of feel that way, but just don't know how to verbalize it. So for me, it was kind of just like, how do I turn that off? Like, how do I be okay with where I'm at, while also still achieving things that are important to me, but not basing that value on what it could get me, and more so the journey of actually doing it.
I love the fact too. Obviously the opposite of good girl is a bad girl. I think the greatest asset to the character positions in this book or this compilation is that there is always a flip side to each one. And in yours particularly, you got the good girl, then you also have the bad girl. And I think sometimes people from opposing sides have envy towards one another. Right. There are things that bad girls look at with good girls, and they envy. And then here you are, a good girl, looking at bad girls and saying, well, they the ones got this. And what happens is if you collaborate with one another, all these things come full circle. Right. And our differences make us be able to join together and understand one another. And so I think I like that about your chapter as well, because I've walked on both sides of that. Right. I know what it's like to be the apple of your parents' eye and be a goody two shoes and all of those things. But at the same time, I also know it's like to not follow the rules. We got somebody.
I had to get off my laptop to do it. It's not showing on my laptop.
Yay! That's so crazy. Like, why can't we do anything on the desktop version? That's weird.
Yeah, so I had to get onto my I had to get on my cell phone.
That's crazy. Dang, what was you saying? I'm sorry, I got happy.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just wrapping up the bantering to fill the space. I'm glad we have another author.
Okay. Before I go to your chapter, so the quote that I pulled out of mine was, "Am I kind? Do the people I love know that I love them? Do I leave a room better than when I entered it? Does my work make an impact? Is my love for God reflected in my life? These are the things that matter." So basically, I had to kind of reprogram myself and not just say, oh, Christian did all this, she got all these degrees, and focus on these things. And so that's kind of helped me out of my overachiever syndrome.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And gratefulness.
Absolutely. Because half the time, I ain't grateful for none of the stuff I done did, and that's just the honest truth.
People don't realize, boy, you look at somebody else's shoes, you take a step in their shoe, you gonna fall out. I tell people all the time, baby, don't envy me, because you don't even know what you envy. Then it fell right out.
I'm sorry I got in here, though, because your chapter, honey, empty womb syndrome. Listen. First of all, introduce yourself, because you know I love you. So,
So I am Zan Tucker. I am a published author. I have so far written 9 books.
Woo!
So 9 books. This collaboration would be like my 10th published work though.
Award winning. You forgot to say award winning.
Oh yeah, that part too. So I am a Emma Award winning author twice or a few times. But so yeah, so I primarily write romance, urban fiction type books. So this was definitely different. Wasn't difficult to write, but it was different. And I think earlier you asked like what was it less stressful? To me, it definitely was less stressful.
Okay.
I was like, okay, I have this self-imposed deadline, so I have to go ahead and get it done. And then I didn't have to worry about writing a whole book. I'm like, okay, I'm only responsible for like 10 pages, so I can do that all day. It's that whole book situation that be stressing me out. So that's pretty much me. Outside of writing, I am a business analyst for the state of Georgia, but I also do real estate. And so yeah, that's me.
All these
I love to travel.
So your chapter, I feel like, was very personal, and I really appreciate both of y'all, first of all, for writing. Then I feel like your chapter hit me the most just because I have that fear of not being able to have a child.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never had that conversation. So I kind of want you to.
You went out. Yeah, I can hear you.
Talk a little bit about that for us.
Okay. So empty womb syndrome is, I just feel like infertility is like the elephant in the Black community. Mm-hmm. It's just some things that we don't talk about. And that just happens to be one of them, which for me, I would rather we have the conversation so many women won't feel like it's just a one-off thing and it's them and they feel so isolated. Because it's actually a lot of women who at some point in time have challenges with getting pregnant or fertility, I should say. For me, for a long time, I didn't want kids, so I wasn't really concerned. But then I got to the point where I was like, I actually want a child. And then, but I had I had a Black OB. And this is one of the reasons why I advocate so hard to have like doctors that look like us, because you're more comfortable having those conversations and they are more comfortable bringing up certain things to you. So she would tell me early on, she was like, look, let's just check and see what's going on. And I'm like, girl, why? Because I don't want kids. I got like 100 nieces and nephews, okay? Like, that's all I need. But then I got to the point where I was like, I actually do want kids. And I wasn't actively trying to have kids, but I wasn't actively preventing it either. So we know how that goes. But I did notice like, okay, nothing's happening for real. So then when I went to the doctor, it was just it can be like a roller coaster because you don't really know. It's really a roller coaster when they tell you, oh well, it's unknown fertility, because then you just like, well, what's really wrong? But for me, initially I was diagnosed with PCOS by one doctor, and then I had another doctor tell me no, it's not PCOS. Right. And then I had another doctor tell me, well, actually I had the fertility specialist tell me that no, it's not PCOS. And so I'm just like, well, which one is it? Like, do I have it? Don't I have it? Because that determines like what I need to do.
Right.
So then we came back and we was just like, well, you have symptoms of it, but your blood work doesn't support PCOS or support you having PCOS. But I'm just like, okay, well, I'm still infertile. Like, nothing still is happening or whatever. So that just started the whole process, and it really was, I don't know, maybe if you had told me 10 years ago, like somebody would come to me and say, hey, you can't have kids, I think I probably would have been okay with it.
Right.
But it really just sent me into like this depression. Like I was just like, what you mean? Right. Like I have all the working parts, but it's still not functioning. So, so it took a lot of therapy sessions, lots of therapy sessions, and it took a lot of therapy sessions for me to just say, okay, well, I'll look into the options like IVF or adoption or whatever, because saying that meant that I was accepting the fact that I had fertility challenges.
Right.
So, and then I was like, well, if I'm going to have a child, I want to experience like pregnancy. That's just what I want to do. Like adoption is not totally out, but it's not at the top of my list.
Right.
So that's how I end up with deciding to like start the whole IVF process. A lot of people be like, "Oh, but that's expensive," and it can be expensive. I'm not gonna even say it can be. It is expensive, but especially if you don't have insurance that covers it, and my insurance doesn't cover anything. But you can find ways. So I did a lot of research and came across. And one of my friends had sent me like this clinic. So I did a lot of research and I came across this low cost clinic that is a lot less expensive than most of it. So it's really making it possible. It's just been challenging though. Like I did the quote unquote first part of the IVF process last year. It actually was a year ago on September the 14th where I did the egg freezing part. And honey, it went so far left. So when I was doing the egg freezing part, they noticed like something with my heart. So that was doing it. So the once they did the egg retrieval, when I woke up from being on the anesthesia, they rushed me to the hospital. So I was like, here we go. Now, y'all, I was Wayland, New York. I live I live in Atlanta, but all of my family is in Arkansas. So everybody was like, what the hell? First of all, but they rushed me to the hospital. I felt fine. Like, of course, I just had like the normal hurt or whatever, or stomach pain or whatever from actually doing the egg retrieval. But they were just really concerned with my heart. So, just from doing the egg retrieval, I found out that I have a chronic heart disease. So I was like, oh, okay, it's a lot happening. Y'all doing a lot. But I was like, okay, at least I got these eggs. So I was able to get 10 eggs. So the chronic heart disease just threw me for a whole loop because it kind of like changed a lot of the things that I was doing. Because I'm Christian. She follows me on Facebook, so she knows like I was an avid runner, like 30, 35 miles a week, running, just having me a good time. And my doctor was like, "You can't do more than 5," and I was like, "For how long?" She said, "Forever." And I was like, "Well, that's a big difference." So I had to adjust to that. But I think like the biggest blow so far though is the heart condition won't allow me to carry twins because it has just put too much strain on my heart. So I always say sometimes like it feels like a punishment. Like I feel like I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do, like preserving the fertility, doing the egg retrieval, moving forward with IVF. I finally made a decision after hours and hours of therapy sessions. But so then I have a plan. So my plan was I don't want an only child, but I don't want to be pregnant more than once. Because I'm about to I'll be 40 next year. So I'm just like, I'm getting too old for this. So the plan was to have twins, and then this whole heart thing is saying no, you can't have twins. So it just feels like sometimes it feels like a continuous punishment to me. And I try to change the narrative, but as a human being, we have days and moments or whatever. So just a couple of weeks ago, I think I had made a status and I was like, this just, sometimes it feels like a punishment. And then sometimes it just feels like positioning, like, okay, well, God is positioning me for something else, something greater than what I could have expected. But I really just be sitting around thinking like, what is it? Because at this point, I just want the little raggedy children, and let me start that whole process. But it's very difficult, especially when you want to have conversations with people, but they don't understand it. And people will offer advice or give their opinion. Oh, well, when you gonna have a child?
Mm.
And so, and it could be, it definitely can make people uncomfortable, because initially when people were asking me that, it really did make me uncomfortable to talk about it. But then I got to the point where I'm just like, if you feel like you can ask a invading question like that, then I can give you the real deal. And so I just was like, well, my kids got to be made in the science lab, so you want to contribute to that, because that's expensive. It is what it is. Like, that's literally what we're doing. We gonna make these babies in the science lab and transfer them. So, and then then it catches people off guard, though, because then they be like, oh, well, what do you mean? And then now I'm explaining the process. Oh, well, just keep trying. It'll happen when it's supposed to. Well, shut up, because that's stupid.
That's so sensitive.
Yeah. So, and I mean, and you when you get to a certain age, though, we all know, like, we get these questions from everybody, like grandparents and everybody, and anybody who knows me knows I'm gonna say what it is. So even when my grandma be like, well, when you gonna have a baby? Girl, didn't I tell you these kids got to be made in the science lab? And I told her, I was like, it's gonna cost about $15,000. You want to contribute? Because if you do, then here I go.
Right.
Let me run me some coins, because otherwise y'all need to chill out and stop asking these questions. So it's been a journey, and it still is a journey, because just trying to navigate it. And then as a 39-year-old, you just be like, oh, okay, well, I find somebody, and I got to explain this situation to them, and they got to be on board and all of that. Like, you may find like the most amazing person, but because it's your fertility issue, their sense of urgency is not the same as yours. So a perfect example is, I was trying to get my partner to, like, hey, can you do like the semen analysis and all that? Child, he never went. So I was just like, say less. I'll just get a sperm donor. It's not that serious. Like, I'm not gonna beg you to do something that I've asked you to do. And so that part is very frustrating, because they just don't. It's like, oh, well, we can try, or we can do this. Child, I don't.
It's too definite when you got to go through that. They don't.
Yeah, and so then it's just like, and at a certain age, because I feel like the older you get, like, you're more likely to be dating somebody that's older than you. So at this age, it's gonna be difficult to find somebody that doesn't have kids, who's probably gonna be understanding, or who even wants to have kids after 40 or whatever. So that's a whole thing too. And so all of that really does play on your insecurities, especially when you're talking about, oh, well, let me start dating, or, or if you even have an interest in somebody, or if you're already dating somebody, at what point do you bring that up? Like, so all of that can, it definitely plays on your insecurities. But I'm just like, look, this the deal. Do you want kids? Because at this point, I don't have a whole bunch of time to waste. I'm working with.
Someone said
I'm
they
working.
can't hear.
I know somebody else said that too, but I can hear y'all. Jazz,
and I can hear you.
Hear us? I'll wait till her till she responds, because somebody else said that too. Casey, try to go out and come back in if you can. But I did want to ask you a question, Zan. The quote that I pulled out of yours was, I had to learn my triggers. While I can't avoid them, knowing them helps me to manage a little better. So I thought this was really good, just based on everything you're saying now, like, and having to deal with people. Like, I know for me, one of my triggers is Mother's Day, and I know you touched on that in your book too. I mean, in your chapter. So how did you learn your triggers?
So I really was just intentional about what made me feel a certain way, or I won't necessarily say unhappy, but because different triggers make you feel different things. Like, that's either where you just feel like there's no hope, or you don't feel whole, or you don't feel like you are enough. And then you have all these questions like, why me? So that used to be my favorite question, like, why me? But then I had to stop and think, like, would I want this to be happening to somebody else though? Like, if not me, who would I pick? Type thing. And I'm just like, I don't want it to be anybody else. So let me not say why me, but as opposed to saying why me, just saying, like, what am I supposed to learn from this? And I know we say that all the time, and it's really difficult. especially for me, it has been very difficult. This whole fertility thing has definitely tested my faith, spirituality, and all of that, because I get in moods where I'm just angry. Like, I'm just like, well, this makes no sense. Because again, like you, I feel like I've done everything the right way, like the good girl way, and I still have this whole issue. Like, so, but what I noticed, like some of my triggers would definitely be like Mother's Day, or just like seeing people like post announcements about being pregnant, and just things like that, or even like just going down memory lane and just remembering all the things that I did as a kid with my parents, and I'm like, well, will I have that opportunity?
Right.
You know, it's great to do it with my nieces and nephews, particularly my nieces, because my nephews, they don't really. They be like,
Them
you're a little bit
boys.
too much.
Right.
Yeah, they be like, you're a little bit too much. But you still want that. I still want that experience with my own child
Right.
or children. And so like all those things are triggers. Like most recently, like it took a lot for me. Like one of my really good friends is pregnant, and I was a co-host for her baby shower. Like that really took a lot for me, because it was just, and not that I didn't want to do it, because I'm over the moon excited for her, but it just emotionally, like it's so many different emotions that you have to deal with that, and so that was just a lot. And so just recognizing those triggers and learning how to navigate them. So for me, sometimes it meant, no, I don't want to talk about the baby shower today, because I woke up in my feelings or whatever. So I'm just like, so I had to avoid. Some days I was just like, well, we'll discuss what's to come next in a couple of days when I feel better about the situation. And not that I needed to give an explanation, but at the same time, I'm just like, not today. Mother's Day seems to be getting harder and harder for me. And I think one of the reasons is my mom's mom, before she passed, she was like, well, I definitely hope I get to see you be a mom. And I'm just like, girl, you ain't finna put that kind of pressure on me. But that was during the phase where I was still very, I wasn't just like gun-ho set on being a parent.
Right.
But now I just be like, well, dang, well, she won't even get to see that or whatever. So that definitely plays a big part. And then, you know, just seeing my siblings interact with their kids and all of that's always a lot as well. So sometimes I go home and I have like these triggers, and then I feel bad though, because I'm just like, well, I should be really enjoying like being with my nieces and nephews, but I have moments where I just be like, well, let me just go to the park and walk or something like that, because I really feel sad. I'm like, well, dang, is it ever gonna be my turn? And I'm just thinking, the longer I wait, like who my children gonna grow up with though, because all their cousins are gonna be grown.
They have
So
babysitters. That's what I say about mine. We're gonna have some babysitters. They might not have no friends though.
right. So I'm just like, all these other kids are really are all my nieces and nephews are already like teenagers, except for maybe like 3 of them or whatever, and I have 13 of them, so you do the math. So
But what I really think a lot of us don't understand is two things can be true at once, right? I could be happy for people in my life, and I can still be feeling some type of way myself. Like it don't have to be all or nothing. And I
right.
think a lot of us forget that.
Yeah, and so I definitely like that's a conversation I've had with my therapist. She was like, you know, it's totally valid for you to feel both emotions. So I'm just like, while I'm happy for you, like I'm still sad for me,
Right.
type thing or whatever. So it's been an interesting journey, difficult sometimes, but one of my really good friends, she we just happened to connect at a time where she she also had fertility issues, but now she has her baby, so that gives me hope. And so she's definitely somebody that I can call and be like, well, I feel like this today, and she'd be like, well, I understand or whatever. So but it's been an interesting situation. It could definitely play on your insecurities though, especially if you're not like already in a serious relationship or married or something like that. Then you just be like, well, now I got to find somebody who's going to be willing to deal with this on top of regular relationship stuff. So it's just a lot, and it's a lot to take in, and it becomes extremely difficult when you have people who don't understand, or who make the unnecessary comments, or I'll even take it even a step further and just say who make the ignorant comments and like, oh well, it'll happen when it's supposed to. Just keep trying, and I'm just like, shut up. What I tell you? That'd be my attitude. I'm like, what I tell you? Like,
So
but
I have a question for both of y'all. What is something that you do to stop yourself from walking with your head down?
For me, I do positive affirmations. I journal, and I like to do affirmations that I've recorded for myself, so it sounds more realistic to me because it's my voice, and I'm more likely to believe it. But therapy has been my saving grace in a lot of situations. Not even just with the fertility things, just relationships, period. So she is worth every penny, and she works hard for her coins, honey, because I'm a whole situation.
Shout out to the therapist.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to double back too with therapy. Yes, Dr. Jamaica Falconer. Thank you, ma'am. I'll say my relationship with God, particularly the gratefulness that I have what He's had over my life. I find that my head is down 70% of the time due to comparison. The other 30 is just insecurity. And so being grateful and just focusing on things that I do have, and the gratefulness, it sometimes lifts my head up. I love to pray and watch sermons. And I have to say my support system, sometimes just plugging into those relationships that are sturdy and real. I feel like at this point in my life, networking is all the rage, and connecting with people, meeting new people, and name dropping is a pastime. But I find my greatest peace and my greatest resolution when my head is down is with those never failing relationships. Those you see me when I'm not my best and you still love me the same. And being able to have access and actually feeding those relationships lifts my head as well, because it's always reciprocity with my real ones.
Yeah.
So can I ask a question? So, and this is for both of you, like, how do you, with whatever challenge it is, like, how do you make sure that you stay strong in your faith and spirituality? Because that has been like one of my biggest struggles with this infertility thing, because I feel like I'll get to the point where I'll be like, okay, I'm on the right path. So I'm doing A, B, and C. Like with the whole egg retrieval, I'm like, okay, I finally did it. It was a lot of back and forth. Again, it took a lot of therapy sessions to get to that point, because that was me accepting the fact that I had a fertility challenge. But then I do that. And so my only, like literally my only desire was like, okay, well, let me get twins. So, because I don't want an only child, but I don't want to be pregnant more than once. So I was like, okay, twins. And with IVF, you get to say, let me get twins. But then that was taken away from me. So I just felt like that was like a cruel punishment. And I'm like, well, what I do to get here type thing. So I'm always looking for ways to like strengthen my faith in spirituality. And I read the scriptures, I have like daily devotion and all of that, but I just feel like I'm still not there.
Yeah, I think for me, and I'm definitely not like, I feel I have those moments too, but I think for me, what helps me is having candid conversations with God. Like, so me, I'm like, why? Like, what's the plan here? Like, tell me something. I learned a couple years ago to not be afraid to have those conversations, and usually when I do get real about my feelings and how I'm actually feeling with God, I almost immediately within the next day or two get some type of sign, whether it's something big or little, confirmation. Like, I have this issue a lot with dynamic image and not feeling like progress is where it's supposed to be. And then I'll get a message from somebody or a book review that like was really random, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I see what you did there, you know, like, or even like just like with relationships and stuff like that. I think just being able to actually pay attention to those signs has helped me. But I definitely have those moments because I'm always like, well, why they get to do this? Why they get to be married and why they get to have kids and they was, you know, they was hoeing. Let's just, you know what I'm saying? Like I had
Yeah.
moments like I thought I did what I was supposed to do, so why don't I have what I want? And so I definitely learned to have those conversations, and it helps me because then when I get the confirmation, it's like, okay, I know you listening to me at least, you know, like I might not have what I want, but I know you listening, and so that kind of helps me. But I definitely feel like I need some help in the area too.
That's so funny because when she asked you the question, I was like, I wonder what angle Christian gonna come at, and God put me in the same spot. It's just my wording is a little different. Somebody taught me when it comes to prayer, you're supposed to pray in an active listening style.
Mm.
So you are putting yourself in a position to be able to hear what God is saying. If you really gonna let God be God, you almost got to take your hand off of it, and you have to be okay with whatever the answer is gonna be. And so going into it with that mindset, opposed to you're gonna be God if you do what I want you to do.
Mm.
Instead saying, you know what, I've done things in a way that I thought was best, and I don't feel very good. So I'm gonna let you get this one, God. Now I ain't saying I'm gonna ride behind you if I don't get my way. I don't know if you're gonna fix me there. But I'm telling you, you got this one shot here. I'm gonna let I'm taking my hand off of it. For real, let your will be done. OG. And I wanna say good luck, but the way my faith is set up off of what I've been through, whenever I go in that approach and that vibe, I always get what I need from God. It hasn't gone any other way, but it's a lot. That type of sacrifice mentally and spiritually sometimes feels so scary because we like to be in control.
Mm.
We like to be in control. You know, I mean, I hate to say it, but sometimes I wonder, you know, if people that are about to die and they ask God for certain things, or their purpose is going to be shortened.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's a reason why they couldn't get that because they need to fulfill this thing and I have that thing?
Mm.
Because stuff be a domino effect.
Right.
You know, I might want to have a certain amount of money and success now. I feel like I'm deserving of it now.
Oh.
But what if somebody in my family health start failing and I need to spend time with them, and I can't spend the time with them if I'm doing what I got to do to keep up my new lifestyle, because everything that I pray for, I already get.
Mm.
So then I lose my loved one. I didn't get to spend the time I was supposed to spend with them. And all I keep saying is, if I can do anything, I trade off this for that.
Right.
But that's what I wanted.
Mm.
Right.
And that was when I wanted God to be God, to get what I wanted instead of what, because we don't know what's up ahead.
Right.
We can't write our own story. If we could, it'd be boring and short.
Mine'd be good.
Not in comparison to God.
You right. Right.
You can't outright him, Christian.
You
know,
right.
you coldest.
You right.
But I will say this, always know when him you're validated. Who cares don't understand you? Who cares who don't see it or don't understand your pain? God gonna always validate you. Question him and be ready for the answers. Because when I say God with so many fake gods to me, baby, I was like, first of all, God, I wasn't even doing Christianity at first, bro. I was raised in a hijab. You done brought me over here to Jesus. He done let me down. I did everything I was supposed to do. Where's my husband?
Right.
Why am I right back a single mom after I cried to you about being a single teen mom?
Right.
You got me right back here.
Mm.
Right back here. Why she get to keep her husband? She ain't even grateful. She don't rub feet.
No, but for real. No.
I rub feet, guys.
Yeah.
Why I'm going through this?
Mm-hmm.
Why I'm going through this? I'm grateful for the stuff I have. She ungrateful. Why she get to have it?
Mm.
And I feel like I'm not gonna sit here and argue and say I know the pain, because I don't. But enough women in my life have been affected by that. And this is very sensitive to my heart, but I would never act like I know that particular pain. But I do know the pain of, God, if this real, why you won't just show me?
Right.
And I feel like me questioning God have brought me and God closer. I didn't question him before because people were saying you're not supposed to question God.
Right.
But one of my pastors was so dope. He said, you could ask God a question, you just be ready for the answer.
That'd be
And
right.
he would say stuff like, God can deal with babies getting raped. You think he can't deal with your problem? Your business, dude.
Right.
He could deal with people that have been, you think you saved. Mother Simmons been saved and sanctified her whole life. That lady on her 4th cancer run, struggling in the hospital right now.
Right.
And her selfish family won't even visit her. I can handle that. Surely I can handle you.
Okay. Thank you.
I know, but for real, I be in the house like, okay, what was the point of that? Like,
Like
oh, tell me something.
I'd be like,
Less than that, so I ain't got to go back through this. So tell me what I'm supposed to figure out, because I'm over it.
Like, God, what? And I be asking him, he be with the sandal like this. That's why. Well, Christian, I be
right. Like, nah, that's what I told you. You're supposed to sit down. Like,
lay down somewhere. Fast tail self.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad y'all got on with me. We were supposed to have some more, and I'm gonna probably do some more because I want everybody to kind of chance stories. I feel like everybody came with some heat. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had a chapter that I felt like was very much needed, and it was very transparent. And I was just really excited that all y'all did what y'all was supposed to do, because I was scared. I ain't gonna lie, I was scared. Just a little bit. But it worked out.
It worked out.
Do y'all have anything else to add before we get off of here for the night? Oh, she must have frozen.
It looks like we lost our girl.
No.
I just want to thank you for being selfless. And I know that you have a lot going on in your brain as far as what's next with Dynamic Image. And you took the time to gather the authors together for this body of work. And we know with books, they always have a ripple effect. They never hit like they, are going to hit. They're usually put on the shelf somewhere, but then someone comes and picks it up. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of that in a various amount of age groups.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like you did the best, keeping it short and sweet. I almost feel like too, like I could see a volume eventually in this, another volume, because there are more topics and things to be discussed.
For sure. Already, honey.
Oh, and one more thing. Girl, you better call me and tell me what I did.
No, so I will say that this has been our highest ranking book produced through Dynamic Image on Amazon. So within this first month, it ranked higher than any other release. So it has already done a lot. I feel like this is going to be a good thing, a good continuous thing. So I'm excited about it. And I really appreciate you for putting your transparent words in that chapter. And I love me a good title. So that hit my heart. I said, oh, okay. I see what you did there.
It definitely, yeah. It definitely gave what it was supposed to give.
It did.
I will say too, I've become quite unapologetic. There she go.
Yeah, my little phone died. I'm sorry.
We back. No, but I've come quite unapologetic through my writing, and I thank you for pushing for that authenticity and going to the edge, because It's necessary.
Good.
Necessary.
Sam, do you have any final words?
No, I just want to say, like, congratulations to all the contributors. All of the stories were great. Very inspiring. And then thank you, Christian, for your vision and for following through and just making it happen.
And what's next for y'all? I know, but
I'm struggling. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna send you an email tomorrow and be like, do we need to scrub these first 3 chapters or what we need to do?
no, we don't need to scrub them. They just need a little tweak.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I'm working on that, and I know I had told you I was gonna have it to you today. And baby, my weekend was way more packed than I expected. So yeah, I'm gonna get it to you.
Fine. So Zan is working on her next awesome romance story, and I am her grateful editor. So I'm excited about that. And Miss Mahogany Rain has a book she should be finishing soon.
Yes,
That's a little
I am
push.
working on part 2 of Puncturing the Deepest Curse.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have a sub name yet. It's still in the gym. We really I do want it to have like a sub name.
It'll be out next year.
It'll be out next year. And it's based off of inspirational fiction, so you all might find out some things about me. I have to get a little close. You're gonna find out some things about my character. It may or may not be true.
I love it.
But it's gonna be in there. And I had to use a lot of careful discretion and omitting, but still make sure that I be transparent. And so that process has been a lot, including reliving some things.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that have followed me, period, I've lost a considerable amount of weight. I've lost a husband.
A considerable amount of weight.
Yeah, a considerable amount of weight. I lost a husband. I'm going to be talking about some of the changes that I went through. I also had some changes in my identity. All of that is going to be inspirational fictionized.
Inspirational fictionized.
And you all
make up words.
It's going to be reimagined. No, but it'll be up to the readers to decide what they can guess what's fiction and what's fact. But ultimately, just staying true to Khadijah's character in the story. She, I think everybody loved watching her grow in the first book, watching her grow up from not really knowing who she was and what she wanted and falling into those happy spaces. In the next book, they'll see a lot more perspective from different characters. And they'll also see some, I guess you could say some parallels, kind of going back to some of the things that she thought she escaped and fighting her way. She's fighting that curse. And we'll get an answer to if Khadijah actually gets a chance to function or kill those curses, or did it take her out?
We shall see.
We'll see.
Alrighty, girls. Thank you so much for getting on and spending your night with me.
Thank you.
When the next wind down is with more of our authors.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye.